agricultural practices. This is a topic which is there in your science also. So you will have no problem in understanding. You will read about some of the agricultural practices. What is the effect? So you are studying environmental studies. So here you will study what is the effect of agriculture on the environment. So let's start. It says some things which are there in the chapter. India is called the agricultural country. A large amount of land is under cultivation in our country. It is defined as, now this is the definition of agriculture. You can compare the definition of agriculture which is given here with the definition given in science. Here also you can take a screenshot if you want. Agriculture is defined as the practice of managing and utilizing the resources of earth to satisfy human needs, to improve the quality of environment. It is the source of livelihood of more than. So this is general. In earlier days, so agriculture is growing. So how did agriculture start? In earlier days, humans had very limited needs. As the population increased, the needs of the people increased. So in order to fulfill, the man started using natural resources. And the easily available land, man started to grow. So in history you have read how did the agriculture start. Industrial development led to the degradation of the land. In the beginning man was using natural process, but later on when industrial revolution started, the crop production was increased and therefore the quality of the land decreased. So here in this chapter we are not reading about the only the agriculture practices, but what is the effect of agriculture on the environment. The origin of agriculture is not simple. Agriculture was long believed to have begun at a single center in the Middle East around 4000 BC. So there is a question at the back where you have to answer this. So this portion is important, that agriculture started at 4000 before Christ. At different times and in numerous places, many plants and animals have been domesticated. So how many species passed into our domestication in prehistoric is not known. So agriculture just does not mean only growing of crops but also keeping of animals. In the 20th century, cultivation of bottle grounds, now these are general names given. What are the agricultural practices which were earlier? In the ancient time, people used to move from one place to another in search of fertile land. Later on, knowledge of agriculture was basically collecting experiences. So when man started growing crops, he found that he could use it for growing crops without moving from place to place. In the beginning, populations used to live at one place. They whatever was growing they would use, but when they started to move, they had to move because the area of the crops was decreased. So when the area in a particular area will be used by man, then they had to move to another place where something was found. Later on, man started cultivating. People used to find a piece of land, grow crops, graze them, animals lived, and after some time they had to move. So therefore agriculture originated and man started farming. This method of farming led to the degradation of land because man lived in one area, he would grow in one area and continue to grow in that area. And therefore this method of farming led to the degradation of land. What are the agricultural practices now? Now means in the present time, and now is called the industrial revolution time. The technologically development brought many changes in the agricultural practices. In 1990, world agricultural markets were affected by continued large food supplies and the effects of growing population. Since the population increased, therefore the countries had to encourage people to grow crops, and therefore farmers were encouraged to grow more and more. When they started to grow more and more, the quality of the soil went down. Various machines were brought in use to obtain a better yield, and the farmers were using the machines. So hence the land affected was affected and the quality of the land went down. And another reason for using modern machinery was economic and political revolution. Man wanted more food for more population, and therefore it took place in many countries. The scenario of the countries changed. Farmers became the owners and many provisions for loan were inflated. So in this, why did the production of crop increase? Because the population increased, because the farmers were encouraged to grow more and more crop, they were given loans and money, and therefore they started. And there are a lot of benefits which are given to the farmers. So tractors and harvesting machines were used, fertilizers and weedicides were introduced. But what happened with the use increasing in agriculture? Effects of agriculture. Population growth has brought many alterations in almost all spheres of our life. To provide food to the population, forests were cleared. So you had to cut forests, and when forests were cut, then like this is a step irrigation where the farmers are cutting this area and growing crop. When you will cut it, what will happen? Soil erosion was the major result of deforestation. So you had to cut forest and wait for the area to dry, and then you would grow crops. And the soil fertility also went down. So what are the common agricultural practices which are commonly followed? Some of the practices performed during agriculture are mixed cropping, mixed farming, multiple cropping, intercropping, and crop rotation. This also you can take a screenshot, and the explanation of this is given. What is contour farming? The practice of tilling sloped land. The picture is shown here. This is a contour farming where the farmers have cleared this land and there are steps. This is mostly in the hilly areas. So why is this done there? Because the land is not very big, there are hills. So therefore farmers use the slope of the land, they cut it and they grow crops. So first one is the contour farming, the practice of growing crop in a hilly area, and this reduces soil loss. These objectives are arranged by means of furrows, crop rows, and wheel tracks. So across the slopes, this helps to reduce soil erosion up to some extent. What is the advantage of contour farming? It reduces fertilizer loss because you will give fertilizer to one flat area, and when you will give water, the fertilizer will go into another area and the loss of fertilizer is reduced. Then it cuts down on power consumption. How power consumption? Because you don't have to supply water to the whole area. The water you have to supply at a higher altitude which will flow down. It decreases wear and tear of the machine and increases crop yield and reduces. So this also advantage of contour farming. You can take a screenshot or note down. Then is the strip cropping, cultivation in which different crops are sown in alternate strips to prevent soil erosion. In this picture, maybe it is not clear, but there is strip cropping grown. You can see dark and light areas. So they have grown one crop in one area and next to it another crop. Then the third method is the mixed cropping. It is the cultivation of two or more crops together. Then what is strip cropping? Different crops are sown in alternate strips to prevent soil erosion. So this is basically done for soil erosion. Mixed cropping is the cultivation of two or more crops together in the same field and not necessarily in. This is the difference. It is old method, especially where there is no proper rainfall. So if you grow two or three crops together, one crop may require more water, other crop may require less water, and therefore this helps to save one crop. It helps the farmers to face the problem of crop failure. If you have grown two crops, in one row you have grown one crop, in another row you have grown another crop, and if the rain is less, both the crops may require less water. One crop may get spoiled, but the other crop will survive. So this is the meaning that crop failure will not be caused. If one crop will be destroyed, another crop will help the farmer to sell something. The next method is intercropping. It is similar to mixed cropping except that different crops are grown to definite rows. It also increases productivity. It makes the soil more fertile, because if you will grow one crop in one line and another crop next to it, the waste, when you will cut one crop, its waste will be acting as a fertilizer in the soil. So this is the advantage. It helps in using more air, more nutrients. This also you can take a screenshot. Advantages of intercropping are helps in using more air, water, nutrients and interland space area. This is a question which will come later on in this chapter. If any of the crop happens to be leguminous crop, leguminous means the plant whose roots contain bacteria, it will make the soil more fertile and a good financial booster, because you will get two or more crops together. Then what is the advantage of mixed farming? It is a combination of producing crop, and this is the meaning, mixed farming. It is a combination of producing crop and rearing living animals. So mixed farming means, this is a sentence which is given at the back of the question. What is the advantage of mixed farming? It saves farmers risk of complete crop failure. Crop and rearing animals. So you keep animals also, you keep crops also, and you keep two or more crops. So if any crop is destroyed, you can live on animals, you can sell the milk and all. So what this is the advantage. It will save risk, increases income of the farmer, source of food for people working on the farm, because you will have more options. You can sell two or three different types of crops together. Waste products become a food for the livestock. If you are keeping, if you are growing a crop, then the waste of the crop can be given to animal. If you don't have animal, buffaloes or cows, then all the waste of the field will be thrown, will be a waste. But if you have animals, you can give this as a food. This is the advantage of mixed cropping. Then next is multiple cropping. Multiple cropping is a practice of growing more than two crops. Mixed farming is animal together, animal and plants, crops together. Multiple cropping is growing more than two crops. Next is crop rotation. You will see this in your science book also. Successive cultivation of different crops in a order on the same field, in contrast to one crop system or to haphazard crop successions. It is growing different crops in the same field, and it is in alternate way. In one season you will grow one crop, and in the other season you will grow another crop. And a simple rotation would be one crop from each group is 1 1 1. This is also given at the back in the answer. There is a question there. The first number in the rotation refers to the cultivated row of crops, second to the close growing grains, third to the seed forming. So 1:1:1 means first refers to the row of crops, then refers to the close growing grains. You are growing crop also, you are growing grains also, and the seed farming, and the rest is the crops. This ratio signifies the need for 3 fields and 3 years to produce each crop. So in one season you will grow one crop, in the second season you will grow second crop. That is why the ratio is 1:1:1. This requirement will be satisfied with a rotation of corn, oats, and this is an example, corn, oats and clove. So 1:1:1, or potato, wheat and clover timothy. These are different crops which can be kept. So 1:1 means refers to the cultivated row of crops. You can grow these crops together. Rotation of any number of fields and crop relationships can be described in this manner. Okay, disadvantage of crop rotation. What is the disadvantage of rotating crop? There are some problems faced by farmers and the practice. Soil gets depleted. If you rotate the crop, then the soil will have all the nutrients of the soil. If you grow one crop, in the next season another crop, the first crop will use one nutrient from the soil, in the second crop will use second nutrient from the soil, then you will rotate the third crop again, so all the nutrients in the whole year will be used up and the soil will become weak. So this is the main disadvantage. Productivity of the crop is reduced. Advantages: what is the advantage of crop rotation? It serves to be an ideal farming practice as it protects the soil, does not leave any land unused. So you are not wasting the land, you are using the whole land the whole year. It provides better economy. The farmer can grow one crop for during rainy season he will grow one crop, then after harvest he will grow next crop, so the no field is left empty and he can sell the next crop. This is the main advantage of the crop rotation. But in this chapter we are reading this aspect, that environment at the mercy of agriculture. More damaging, however, have been modern agricultural practices. So in the modern agricultural practices, you use lot of machines, you use lot of chemicals, and tremendous amount of chemicals are used, herbicides are used, fertilizers are used. These fertilizers increase production, but most of these chemicals are left in the soil. So when these chemicals will be left in the soil will be affected, and after some years the soil will change its composition. Rainforest, which are natural resources, are destroyed in great numbers. A large and high level of input is required to maintain the stability in the field. So one of the major impact of agricultural practices on the environment is the degradation of the soil. The soil becomes infertile. After some years, the crop production will be decreased, and due to addition of fertilizer. If you keep on adding fertilizer, after some years the fertilizers mix with the soil and the soil structure is changed. If you use pesticides in the field, pesticide will kill the insects, but most of the pesticide falls on the soil and it makes the soil poisonous. These things produce large amount of waste and cause pollution. The fertilizers contain chemicals which damage the soil. Now these are name of the pesticides. DDT, BHC are some of the common pesticides used in the farms. The remains of these chemicals are absorbed by the soil, which spoil the root of the crop. So after some years it is seen that the crops decrease and the soil becomes less fertile. So this is a common problem which is faced by farmers. Deforestation is another harmful activity carried out by human beings. So when you want to have more fields for growing crop, you will need to cut forests. It leads to soil erosion. When you will cut trees and grow crops, soil erosion will be there. So you will have to grow something in the field, and brings flood and reduces the quality of food. It is leading to desert formation and affects the climatic conditions of that area. So this is the main problem with agriculture. It has become difficult to maintain an ecological balance, and steps must be taken to prevent the deteriorating condition of the land. So this is something which you have may not have read in science. In science you read what is agriculture, what are the practices, that is about science. In this chapter you have read about effect of agriculture on the environment. So this is a normal topic where you have studied something to do with agriculture, and now this is the last portion. So now this is the fill in the blank. If you don't have this book, you can take a screenshot of this portion. Fill in the blank. The dash is the system of farming in which crop production is combined with rearing of livestock. So this we have discussed just now. What is this called? Type below this. What is this called? Mixed farming. Agriculture started in 4000 BC before Christ in the Middle East. This is something we read just now. Then intercropping is similar to dash except that different crops are grown in, yes, 4000 BC. uh, Agriculture started. The intercropping is similar to this except that different crops are grown in different rows. Intercropping is also similar to what will come here. Intercropping is also same as mixed cropping except that different crops are grown in different definite rows. So we read this mixed cropping and intercropping and mixed farming. You can say mixed cropping or intercropping. There is some similarity in them, but there is some difference also. 4. Dash are used for controlling the disease in order to protect. So what is used to control the disease? Pesticides are used for controlling the disease in order to crop, protect the crop. Then in intercropping, there is a greater utilization of dash area, light, air and water. In intercropping, there is great utilization of, see, it is here. In intercropping, there is a more utilization of, it is given here. And so what will come there? There is more utilization of the land area, there is soil, sunlight and water. So in intercropping, there is a greater utilization of land area, light, air, water and fourth is what? Fertilizer. You can write here fertilizer. Okay, next one, you can take screenshot of this part also. True or false? Economic and political revolution and reformation reduced the use of machinery. So this is false. Economic and political revolution increased the use of machinery. When there is economic revolution, more and more machineries were set up. So here it will be false. In mixed cropping, different crops are sown in different strips to prevent soil erosion. In mixed cropping, different crops are sown in different strips to prevent soil erosion. This is true. Multiple cropping is a practice of growing more than two crops successively in a field during a year. During a year, this is false or true. Multiple cropping is a practice of growing. Multiple cropping is a practice of, see here is given, more than two crops successively in a field during a year is given here. So this sentence is false or true? More than two crops successively during a year. So this will be true. A simple rotation of 1-1-1 is used for the planting of crops is the method of intercropping. We read this just now. Yes, fourth one, simple cropping method 1:1 is given here. In crop rotation, you can see that the ratio is given. Yes, so it is true. Then DDT, BSC are some of the common germicides used in the farm. Are they germicides or what? It is given here. Yes. No, we can call them germicides also. DDT, BSC are commonly used pesticides used in the farm. So they are pesticide, but germicide also is same. Germs, you are killing the germs. Sides means you are killing them. So you can call it true also. Pesticide is right, but germicide is also, we can accept it. So you can call it true. Germicide, germs also means same. Pesticides are pests. Germ is a word which is mostly used for smaller organisms. Pest is also smaller organism. So you can call it true. Okay. So this is the end of this topic. If you have any doubt, you can comment and I will solve the problem. But the topic is covering only fill in the blanks. and true and false. So chapter 1 and 2 I have already shared. This is chapter number on the agriculture. So when you are going through this, see the agriculture chapter of science and revise, and if you have any doubt then ask. Okay, chapter number 4. So 3, 1, 2 I have already shared, and today I have shared, explained quickly. You can listen to this and revise the topic. See you in the next class. Have a nice day.